All right, let's kick this off. Welcome everyone to Managing Your ForeFlight Business Account. In this webinar, we're going to walk through all of ForeFlight's extensive account management capabilities for flight departments. From adding new users, setting up aircraft, publishing cloud documents, all of it that you need to manage your business account and ensure that your flight department has the tools and information they need to plan and conduct flights. Here are our presenters for today. I will let them introduce themselves. So Joey, go ahead.
Thanks, Sam. Hello, everyone. My name is Joey Arena, and I'm a Senior Customer Success Coordinator at ForeFlight. I'm a commercial helicopter pilot, and I've been with ForeFlight for 3.5 years now. And joining me today is Galloway.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Galloway. I'm the product manager for Dispatch. I'm a private pilot, and I've been with ForeFlight since 2015.
Thanks, Caitlin. So on the docket for today, we will start by showing you how to access ForeFlight's admin portal on ForeFlight Web. From there, we'll talk about managing users and devices, managing and publishing aircraft profiles, including weight and balance profiles, managing your aircraft subscriptions, including add-ons like ForeFlight Dispatch and ForeFlight Runway Analysis, which you can do all in one comprehensive subscription management page, managing Jeppesen coverages as well as linking one or more Jeppesen accounts to your ForeFlight account, managing and distributing documents via cloud documents, managing contract Jet A fuel cards with ForeFlight's JetFuelX capability, and finally wrapping it up and answering some questions. Before we get going today, just a few reminders about the GoToWebinar platform that we're using for the webinar today. You can ask questions via the GoToWebinar message panel on the right. Just click that button that looks like a question mark inside a speech bubble. Type in your question at the bottom there and hit send, and our staff will be on hand to respond to your questions as quickly as we can. We'll be responding to those questions during the presentation, as well as taking a few others at the very end, picking out a few that have been submitted that we think are good questions to answer out loud. We encourage you to not wait until we reach the Q&A to submit your questions because we probably won't be able to answer them at that point. It'll be too late. Just go ahead and submit your questions as soon as you think of them. That's the best way to ensure that they get answered. We always recommend that you view these webinars from a computer, not a mobile device like an iPad or iPhone. We just find that people on mobile devices tend to have more technical difficulties, especially audio problems. Finally, this session is being recorded and it'll be accessible at foreflight.com/webinars starting tomorrow. So let's get started. Your airplane, Joey.
My airplane, Sam. So today we're going to begin by utilizing the ForeFlight user interface found on the web. You can find this by going to plan.foreflight.com. ForeFlight manages two main products, ForeFlight Dispatch and ForeFlight Electronic Flight Bag. Both products share the same user interface found at plan.foreflight.com. Dispatch being the topmost tab on the screen, and then the rest of the functions are assigned by the user that's actually logged into the account. So we can see that my name down here, I'm signed in. These are my flights, maps, imagery, and so on, whereas Dispatch is shared by all users on the Dispatch level account. However, administrators utilize this user interface for managing three of the most important functions of a group account: managing the user's aircraft profiles, managing the organization structure itself, as in the user's actual account, email, login credentials, and then for business aviation, also assigning their JetFuelX account and logging in their fuel cards as well. So we're going to begin today by walking through each one of these functions. Administrators will manage the users and devices on their account under the Organization tab. Once you have tapped on the Organization tab, you will find a User tab and a Device tab at the top of the screen. For group accounts, you may also see the organization name, the number of users and devices allocated to that account. as well as the full listing of all users currently listed on the account. In order to add new users, you tap on the Add New User button. From here, you can enter up to 5 email addresses to add new users to your account. If you need to add more than 5 users, you can create a CSV file and import the CSV file directly to the importing tool here. You can upload the users and they will be added to your account. If a user has never had a ForeFlight account before, they will get an email sent to their email address that you entered, and they will be prompted to create their own password to log into ForeFlight. If a user already has an account, you may get a red error message that says there was an error when adding this user because they already have an account. If that's the case, reach out to success@foreflight.com and we will help get that user added to your account. You will then find the new users added to the overall listing of all users on your account. In order to edit a user, you'll tap on that user from the drop-down list. From this screen, you'll see the user's name, their email address, the devices that they have logged into the program, and any Jeppesen coverages they have installed to their devices. You can also edit their information, where you can edit their name, email address, enter a phone number or crew code, and even create a new password here from the user interface. Therefore, they don't have to go to the web and click the forgot their password portion. Administrators will also have the ability to assign administrator roles to any users on their account and also revoke those roles if needed. Tap on the update button and you will have successfully updated their account. Then you can back out by tapping on the organization at the top to see the rest of the users on the account. If you need to remove a user from an account, you can find the Actions row and tap the Remove button. You will then be prompted to remove that user, and it will just remove the active license from their account. ForeFlight never deletes users' accounts unless they specifically request us to delete their user information. By removing a user from the account, their account will lay dormant until another active license is assigned, either by being added to another group account or purchasing an active license for themselves. And lastly, we have the Export button. The Export button will export in CSV format a full listing of all of the users on your account. Device management happens on the Devices tab at the top of the screen. From here, you will see a list of each device rather than by user email. You can also see the model that they're using, the current iOS installed on that device. Remember that ForeFlight electronic flight bag is exclusive to the iOS platform, so you will see iPhones and iPads listed here in their current iOS available. The last time their device contacted our server, their current application, and you can see if they're using the current version or not. You can also see if their data is current on their device. Tapping on the data next to the device will show you if there is expired data and also the current data they hold on that device. You can also look at the documents that they have downloaded and if any of those documents are expired. Here's a pro user tip. For account administrators, you can also remove a device without removing a user from the account. This is crucial when you are near the maximum number of allocated devices. You can log in and see if a user, for instance, this user has not contacted the server since last month. So since this has been longer than 2 weeks, we could sign this device out and it would allocate another device to be used by the rest of the users on the account. But it does not remove that user's access to your account. So they would just open their iOS device and log in from the account page and have access to the account again.
Joey, just one thing to add there. If you are in your admin portal and you're not seeing this data and docs column, you might not have compliance turned on. Joey, do you want to go show them where you can turn that on?
Excellent point, Caitlin. So the settings for your account are located where your user's name is. It's normally the last tab on the left side of the screen. From here, you can access all of your settings and integrations on your account. Compliance is found under the Settings tab over here, and what it does is that's when I was speaking about being able to see the current data and documents installed on your device. You will need to have compliance enabled over here under the settings. Other settings you can do is default to Zulu time and also have a default briefing format as well. As an admin, you have other settings functionality on your account page, such as your subscriptions page. This is where you can manage both the aircraft subscriptions and the application subscriptions. You can allocate your dispatch tails and runway analysis tails from this page. And you can also review previous receipts. You can also manage your Jeppesen account from the admin portal as well, and we will cover that more in detail when we get to the Jeppesen coverages. Next, we will discuss the management of aircraft tails. Tapping on the Aircraft tab will allow you to manage the aircraft tails on your account. The Aircraft page is divided into two sections, My Aircraft and Organization Aircraft. Organization aircraft are the tails that you are managing for your group account. Publishing these tails will provide the same aircraft profile to all pilots on your account. However, since each pilot utilizes ForeFlight, perhaps for their personal reasons as well, we also separate My Aircraft from the organization. That way, aircraft that do not need to be shared with all users on the account can be managed just by the user logged into their own account. Again, only administrators have the ability to edit published aircraft tails. This will allow continuity amongst the profiles on a group account. That way, a single pilot does not alter a profile and disallow that profile from being used from another user. When you tap on an aircraft, you will see the aircraft's information on the right side of the page. You can start off by completing the form data, and everything in blue is editable in ForeFlight. You select your tail number. You then select the aircraft's type from the aircraft drop-down menu. Aircraft profiles that have pre-built performance profiles, runway analysis, and weight and balance templates will also show that information next to the type code. You want to ensure that you choose a performance-based profile so that you know that you get all of the full functionality of all ForeFlight products. You can then choose the aircraft's category, colors, home airport, airspeed units, and then length units. For dispatch users, you can also add the CBP decal number for EAPA submissions. You can manage dispatch tails and runway analysis tails and also make those purchases here using our Commerce tabs. The performance profiles will show here on the left side of the aircraft's profile, and these profiles are defaulted to the pre-built performance profiles generated by our aircraft performance team. You can also tap on Add Basic Performance Profiles and generate a basic profile or a by altitude profile if you would like to have custom performance. If you have runway analysis purchased for your tail, you may also need to select, according to your serial number, an applicable runway profile. When you have runway analysis purchased for an account, you can also set your runway defaults under Field Performance. Those settings will be able to be added on the Field Performance screen and saved for your defaults for your runway analysis. We can see that this particular aircraft supports multiple climb, cruise, and a single descent profile. Now, all aircraft, when they come off the production line, are just a little different from each other aircraft. They may have a little more drag coefficient. They might have a little more fuel efficient engines. So ForeFlight actually allows you to bias your performance for each tail. You do this under the performance adjustments. For climb and descent biasing, when you click on the adjustment tab, you can adjust more specifically by time and fuel quantity. Now, the way this works is you generate a performance nav log inside of ForeFlight. You look at the navigation portion to your top of descent. If ForeFlight says it's going to take you 15 minutes and 250 pounds of fuel to reach your top of descent, but in reality it takes you 18 minutes and you burn 300 pounds of fuel, what you would do is you would add 3 minutes to the duration of your climb profile and add an additional 50 pounds of fuel. And then you would apply that setting to that profile. This will then bias that profile for the climb portion. You can do the same thing for your cruise portion. If you edit a standard profile like long range cruise, you will have a percentage biasing where you can adjust for speed and fuel flow. However, if you're doing a speed profile such as a Mach setting, you will only be able to adjust a fuel flow because you're already flying at a fixed Mach speed. If you notice that your performance planning is either more conservative or a little more liberal in its fuel flow adjustment, you would adjust the percentage accordingly. So if it's too conservative, you need to increase your fuel flow adjustment by percentage. I always like a 2% adjustment and then generate a new nav log. Then you'll see if your numbers are adding up to what you really expect along your flight planning, and you can adjust the percentage accordingly. You can also set a profile as default here under the settings. After you've completed your performance biasing, you want to ensure that you complete all of the information as accurate as you can throughout the entire aircraft profile. Because all of the pilots on your account are going to be sharing the same profile, we want to ensure that this information is complete as possible. One area to pay specific note is going to be the weights area. You want to ensure that you get the basic empty weight and your max takeoff weight set correctly by tail so that each pilot is utilizing the correct useful load for their aircraft. ForeFlight for group accounts actually integrates well with a full weight and balance support now. Now you can create and edit multiple weight and balance profiles for all of the aircraft in your fleet. Adding a weight and balance profile can be done by tapping on the Add Weight and Balance Profile, and you can see if your aircraft already supports a pre-made template or if you would like to create a blank template here as well. Editing a pre-built profile is as simple as tapping on the Edit button and then reviewing the empty weight, CG, and each station and their max loading. You can also see your CG limitations and the envelope as well. Once you have created a successful weight and balance profile, that profile will be shared by all pilots on the account from that point forward. Next, you will ensure that you set up your fuel parameters correctly, type of fuel in units, and then start taxi and takeoff fuel. This field sometimes adds some confusion with users because they really don't understand what fuel amount to place here. This section is for the amount of fuel it takes to start your engines, taxi to the runway, and begin your takeoff. Also, once you have landed, taxi back to the ramp and shut the engines down. So it's essentially just your miscellaneous fuel before your wheels leave the ground and then touch the ground again. total usable fuel, and if you would like to utilize a contingency fuel percentage, you can add that percentage here as well. Default reserve policies are also important. You can use manual quantity, manual time duration, or utilize a pre-made reserve policy as published. You also have minimum reserve fuel, default alternate cruise profiles. Again, review the information, and if it's applicable to your aircraft type, please make sure you fill out all of the applicable fields. The ICAO equipment fields are very important as well because this is going to be crucial in your electronic filing capability. You can review the equipment on board your aircraft and make sure that you select all the available equipment codes, surveillance codes, and performance-based navigation fields that are applicable. Ensuring that you have completed all of your ICAO equipment fields, surveillance codes, and performance-based navigation areas will ensure that you get the precise routing information through ATC. If you have STS handling codes or you need to complete your other information fields, those are available as well. And finally, under the aircraft profiles, you want to ensure that you complete your emergency fields as well. Once you have a complete aircraft profile selected, you can then publish the aircraft if it's not already published. However, if your aircraft is already published, you will also note that all edits will be updated in real time to all of the users on your account. If you operate multiple types in the same fleet, you can copy a profile and then modify just for the airplane-specific information, such as empty weight, specific equipment codes, and tail numbers. You can also establish a default tail as well. Lastly, maintaining your aircraft subscriptions from the administrator level can also be done by tapping on the Manage Aircraft Subscriptions button. This will bring you back to the account page under Aircraft Subscriptions and allow you to manage your allocations for dispatch and runway analysis, and also purchase additional coverages if you have added new tails to your fleet. Group account administrators that already have a Jeppesen account purchased can link their Jeppesen coverages to their ForeFlight account. In order to manage your Jeppesen coverages, you will do that from the account page and tap on the Jeppesen tab. From here, you will see the accounts that you're logged into, the coverages available on those accounts, and the devices that currently have those coverages allocated to them. You can link multiple Jeppesen accounts to one group account by tapping the Add Jeppesen Account tab, logging in with your email and password information from your JDM manager. You can search for the Jeppesen coverages using the search bar, and you can also restrict coverages from being available to your users by disabling the radio buttons on the right side of the screen. A note on your account is that only one coverage may be installed per device at a time. So your users will have to manage their own coverages from their devices. However, if you do need to deactivate a coverage for a specific user, you will locate their device and tap Deactivate, and that will manually log them out from that coverage on their device. Aside from being able to deactivate coverages by device, you can also make specific coverages available only to certain pilots. For that, we're going back to the Organization tab, and we will select a user from the list. Managing the user, you can see the specific Jeppesen coverages on your account, and you can either allow them to inherit the permissions from the overall account, or you can select only a specific coverage for that pilot. If a pilot only flies domestically in the US, you can assign only domestic US coverage for that pilot. Group accounts in ForeFlight can also take advantage of sharing their publications from one location to all of the pilots on their account. This is done through third-party cloud drive integration. From the account page, tapping on the Integrations tab will show you how to integrate your cloud document repositories into ForeFlight. We currently support Amazon S3, Box.com, and Dropbox.com, with iCloud and Google Drive on the horizon as well. To integrate a cloud document drive, you will click on the Connect button. From here, you will name your catalog so that from the Documents page, your users will know where their group documents are available. I'm going to name it Group Documents. And then I'm going to select my provider from the drop-down list. I currently have a Dropbox account logged in on my account, and I will click Create. I was already logged in behind the scenes into my Dropbox account, so it automatically integrated with that account. However, if you're not already signed into it, you may see a prompt menu that will take you to their website to allow that integration from their side. Additional sharing options, you can allow users to email documents, you can allow them to print documents, you can allow them to download documents, and you can allow them to install custom content packs as well. To unlink a subscription, you would just unlink here on the account page.
JetFuelX gives you an easy way to enter all of your fuel cards so that you can see your best price at several different FBOs. I'm on the JetFuelX tab here on the left, and I've already got some fuel cards added, but we can walk through the steps of adding a new fuel card. The first thing I'm going to do is click Add Card at the top right, and I can select my fuel vendor. Let's say we're going to set up a card for EvoJet. We'll also need to put in our card or account number, and we can put in an account name. We need to put in an account number or a card number and also an account name. You can put in a description if you like, and then you'll want to choose the aircraft that are associated with this card. So you can select more than one aircraft here as well. Once we've done this, we can click Add. This is going to automatically submit a request to this fuel vendor to start automatically updating fuel prices. This can take roughly around 24 hours to 48 hours. So give it a little bit of time to get those prices in there. But also, if you have a CSV price sheet, you can import that yourself as well. So I can click Import Prices, and I've already got a price sheet here. So let me get that added. Once I've successfully imported my CSV, I'll just click Done. And you can see now that my prices are updated. So you can come in here and make sure, if you're not seeing prices somewhere, you can come in here and make sure that your fuel cards are up to date, that we've got the latest prices. But as I mentioned, this will happen automatically for most vendors. Just at the bottom here, you can see all of the vendors that we work with. So as long as you've got a card number, you can go ahead and put that in and get all of your fuel price information automatically. If you've got ForeFlight Dispatch licensed on your account, you're going to have some additional settings that only administrators can access in Dispatch. So when you're on the Dispatch tab, you can click on Settings on the top right. Now, we're not going to cover all of the settings here, but I did want to point out just a couple different things. The first item that I want us to take a look at is auto dispatch. The main thing here is auto release. So if you want to make sure that no matter what, no human error, you want to make sure that those flight plans get released to your crew. You can set a default time, automatically release these flights 4 hours prior, 7 hours prior, or really any time you want. You can put 24 hours prior to departure. That way you know that those crews are getting notified of flights that are coming down to them. The next tab over to the right is operational rules. I've already got a couple of rules set up here, and you can filter by the different types of rules, the conditions that you have set. You can also search for keywords to find the rule that you're looking for. We can also add new rules on the right side here. I'll click Add Rule, and let's set our rule type to be taxi fuel. We can give this a name if we want to, but you don't have to. And this checkbox will let you enable or disable a rule. So if for a certain amount of time you don't want to use a rule, you can just uncheck that box and we won't apply it to those flight plans. We can add a condition. I'll go ahead and set this for a specific airport. So I'm going to set if my departure is Teterboro, then I want to set my taxi fuel to always be 500 pounds. You can see the rule preview at the bottom here. If departure is Teterboro, then set taxi fuel to 500 pounds. So you can really be sure that you're setting the rule the way that you want it to work. Now, I did set a condition here, but maybe you want something to always apply all the time. You can remove the condition and it will change to always. So if you want this rule to apply all the time, you can just leave it as always and then add the rule. So here's my rule, taxi fuel, always set taxi fuel to 500 pounds. That's regardless of aircraft, regardless of airport. So you can get really as specific or as broad as you want. If you're flying to locations that are not always in the nav database, you can create custom airports. You can do this when you're planning the flight plan. You can do it right from the planning page, but you can also just come in here and set up your own. So we can click Add Custom Airport on the right, and we can click on a spot on the map. We can grab those coordinates, or of course we can copy and paste the exact coordinates of your location. You can set the airport identifier. It's got to be a 4-character ICAO style code. You can put in the airport name. And then you can also put in the elevation. Once you've done this, you can hit save. And now you've got your custom airport. So now this is an airport that you can plan as your departure, destination, or alternate. The final thing I want to show you in the dispatch settings here is Navlog Builder. A lot of our customers have custom OFPs and they need to be able to set up their OFP exactly how they need it. So this is a great tool for that. We do have some pre-built layouts. We have the international and the standard here. And what I would recommend is that you make a copy of one of these. We can click copy here. And we'll just go ahead and leave it with that name, hit save. And now we've got our international copy here. If we want to change the order of how things display, we can just move things around, adjust as needed. And we can also click to customize each block. So depending on the block that you're taking a look at, you can adjust titles of the fields. You can add notes for actuals. We're going to give you a preview of what that looks like. We also have the ability to add custom blocks. So we can click Add Blocks at the top left. And we have a ton of different options here. One that I think a lot of operators like to use is the image option. So I've got a ForeFlight logo, so I'm going to grab that and drop it in here. Okay, so I've got a preview here, and I'm going to go ahead and add this block. Now, it's going to add maybe at a random place, so I can just take my cursor and drag it up to the top. And of course, you can put that anywhere that you want to in your custom navlog. Let's say I'm done with the changes I want to make. I can click Preview and see what this is going to look like. Now I can see my image is at the top. I've got my company logo, and I've got all of my fields exactly where I want them to be. So as we go back to the navlog builder, you can make as many changes as you want to, and when you're happy with the way that it looks, you can hit save. Let's say we want to make this our default OFP for the entire company. I can click on the More dropdown and set as default. Now, when I'm planning flight plans in Dispatch, this is the navlog that's going to automatically show for each flight plan. But we do have the option to choose different navlogs per flight. So you can create as many navlog templates as you'd like and manage all of these in here. This is something you can set as an operational rule as well. So if you always want a certain tail to get a certain navlog, you can set that in operational rules. Now, we haven't covered all of the settings or even all of the features in Dispatch, but we did recently do a Dispatch webinar, so you can go to our website and take a look at that Dispatch webinar if you want to learn more. That's all we have for today. I'm going to hand it back to you, Sam.
All right. Here are some links y'all can follow while we get into the Q&A here if you want to learn more about ForeFlight's business solutions, ForeFlight Dispatch, which supports even more advanced customization options. You can go to foreflight.com/webinars to watch this webinar and previous ones, and contact sales at sales@foreflight.com. So let's move on to some questions. All right, first question up here. Do I need to unpublish my aircraft in order to make changes? Joey, do you want to answer that one?
Absolutely. So you do not need to unpublish an aircraft in order to make changes. You'll notice that once you have an aircraft published, you'll get a yellow notification banner at the top of the screen, and it will let you know that while the aircraft is published, any edits that are made will be updated in real time to all of the users on your account, as long as they're connected to the internet, of course.
Awesome. Next question. Are there any plans to add helicopter profiles?
As a helicopter pilot myself, I absolutely love this question. Yes, we do currently support some helicopters with pre-built performance profiles. When you're adding a helicopter and you're searching for the type code, you will notice next to the type code whether they're currently supported or not. And if you find that the aircraft that you're currently flying is not supported with a pre-built profile, you can reach out to team@foreflight.com, and they'll walk you through the process to request that a profile be added to our database. And if we find a need for it, then we'd be happy to add it.
All right, next up. I don't see an organization tab on my account. How can I manage the users on this account?
Great question. So when you log into plan.foreflight.com and you do not see either the organization tab or the JetFuelX tab, it simply means that you're not currently an administrator on your account. So what you can do is you can reach out to your current administrator,
and find out if they would allow that permission to be added, and they can simply access the administrator feature the same way that we outlined here in the webinar today.
All right, and last question here. Are you going to discuss the sub-organizations at all and how to set them up?
That's a great question as well. So sub-organizations requires some custom setup to be done behind the scenes here at ForeFlight to make that work seamlessly. So what we would do is during the account onboarding session, we would explain how to set up those sub-organizations and then teach your administrators how to create and allocate both aircraft profiles and users on each one of those sub-organizations. So in order to do that, we do that when we're creating your account. So if you would like to learn more about sub-organizations, feel free to reach out to our team at success@foreflight.com, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you.
All right, thanks, Joey. And thank you, Caitlin, for another great webinar. We are going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. If you have a question out there that hasn't yet been answered by our team, please go ahead and email that to team@foreflight.com or possibly success@foreflight.com, as Joey just mentioned, especially if it pertains to ForeFlight Dispatch. We definitely want to make sure all of your questions are answered. So go ahead and forward those on so we can get you an answer to those questions. Once again, if you have any questions about ForeFlight Dispatch or any other aspect of managing and administering your ForeFlight business account, you can always contact team@foreflight.com or sales@foreflight.com if you would like to get a demo of these capabilities. You'll be able to see this webinar starting tomorrow at foreflight.com/webinars. And once again, you can visit those other URLs if you want to learn more about dispatch or what else we can do for your flight department. So with that, thanks a lot, Joey and Caitlin. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you on the next webinar.